Here's how I film and edit my YouTube videos. First, I make an outline of what my plans are. That includes supplies, a shot list, which is just clips that I want to make sure I include, what I discovered doing some research, and then I'll also start writing my voiceover script. I usually look up if my ideas have been done before. Typically they have. If I can do it easier or cheaper, and I also want to make sure I give credit to others who have inspired me or doing things that I like. So for my setup, I use a ProMaster tripod with a Manfrotto ball head. I've had this tripod for 14 years. I went to school for photography, so a lot of my things I've had since I was in school. But to do my overhead shots, I use a tripod boom arm that screws into the top of my tripod, and I just put the two front legs on the table, and then I put the back leg on the floor to anchor it. Since October of last year, I've been shooting with a Canon 80D, but before that, I was using a Canon G7X Mark II. For lighting, I use this softbox kit that I hate. I think it's fine for beginners, but my apartment doesn't get that much natural light, so it's very helpful when I want to film, but it doesn't allow me enough control of the brightness and the color temperature, so that's why I don't like it. As you can see, I have one light pointed up, and that's to diffuse the light and have it bounce off the ceiling, and then I have another one pointed towards the subject, and the white pillowcase I use to diffuse the light as well. Here's my setup for most of my overhead DIYs. I now use my Canon as a side angle close-up camera. And then for audio, I use a Rode VideoMic Pro. My G7X I've had since I started my channel, and I ended up upgrading because I had the same focusing issues that they're known for. But I think it's a great beginner camera, and it also takes really good pictures. I also like using the tripod it came with for close-up shots. So this is my film gear box. I just keep extra supplies in here. I have a white balance card. Without getting too technical, gray is the most neutral color, and it just helps make sure that the picture isn't too blue or yellow based. You don't need this to start out, but I find it helpful. Next, I have an extension arm for my boom arm, and then I have an extra charger for my batteries. And then, I have my lavalier mic. This is what I used to record my audio at first. I still do sometimes. I like this mic a lot. It just plugs into my phone. I also have this extension cord with a converter cord on it that hooks up to my Rode mic, so I can also use my Rode mic with my phone if I want. I have my manuals, a wrist strap. I just like a wrist strap versus a neck strap. That's just what I did in school. So I have a few of these. And I have a hot shoe extender. I've never used this, but if I want to, I can. And I have a backup hard drive and just other things I use for my kit. Now this is actually pretty awesome. This is a holder for your phone that you can screw into a tripod. I typically use this for Instagram pics, but I can put my phone inside the grip, and there's a button to press down so you can secure it and open it and close it. And there's cushions on the side so it doesn't damage your phone, but it makes sure it's squished, and then you can swivel it horizontally or vertically, and then you can screw it on the bottom right here, and so you just connect it to a tripod. Typically I have my notebook or a laptop nearby so I can take notes or look at my notes. This is my Rode VideoMic Pro. Like I mentioned earlier, I upgraded to this last summer, I think. To record my voiceovers, I have an app called Voice Recorder Pro. I paid for the pro version, but the free version is fine. The pro version was just $5, and I said, I have $5. And I plug in my lavalier or my Rode mic with the converter, and then this is how I do my voiceovers. You can record directly to your phone, and then you can share it to the cloud or drive and just upload it that way. I think my biggest advice would be make sure you have extra batteries and memory cards, because you don't want to set up to film and then find out your battery is dead or your memory card is full. Just have backup. I have this Anchor dongle that I use that has an SD card slot built directly into it. And then for my hard drive, I use 1 terabyte Samsung solid state drive. I edit directly off my hard drive, so it uses less memory on my computer and it doesn't slow it down. So immediately when I get done filming, I transfer my files to my hard drive so I don't accidentally format a card. This has never happened to me before, knock on wood, but I'm pretty sure I do this because in school they drilled it into us, and so it's just a habit. I have had files become correct, but I've never accidentally deleted a file. I use Premiere Pro to edit. I actually learned to use it via a Skillshare class. But there's also a lot of really great resources on YouTube. So if I want to learn to do something specific to explain my editing process, my gosh. I organize everything by bins or folders. So you'll see I have one for video, one for audio, and I just drop my files in there. I try to film in the order that I'm going to edit, so it's a little easier to organize. If I'm adding in any audio, I just make sure I synchronize it with my clips first before I cut up the clip, because it's a lot easier, and I've done it the opposite way and it was a pain in the butt. So learn from my mistake. My process is main clips and main audio always go on the first track, and then background music and B-roll go on the second and third tracks. And I also use adjustment layers, which we'll talk about more in a second. For my music, I use MusicBed. I've also used Thematic in the past, but as you can see, I'll just pop in all the songs that I think I'm going to use or I might like to use. For color grading or color correcting, I've actually made a bunch of presets already. I don't color grade the actual clip. I do an adjustment layer so it doesn't affect the original clip. And then I just drag my preset that I've made onto the adjustment layer. And I can link the video below that taught me how to color grade for my style. I can also copy and paste the presets. That's not always easier, I'm gonna be honest. But it's just helpful and makes my editing process faster. So back to my audio, I set it as dialogue, if it's my voiceover. And I used to edit my audio in Adobe Audition, but this is just easier. I normally use a preset like podcast or clean up noisy dialogue and just tweak it a little bit. For my background music, I like to make sure it's set to background music. And then where it says ducking, I hit duck against dialogue, and that just automatically changes the volume whenever you're speaking. And then you can tweak it to how fast you want it to duck or how loud you want the music to be when it's done ducking, things like that. Typically on the third track is where I'll add any text or graphics, so things like my subscribe button or my Instagram handle. I just use the pre-created graphic templates. You can choose the colors, you can type in the text and have it match your branding. You can change the placement of where it is on screen. It's very helpful. They have a lot to choose from actually. Most of them are free, but they do have the premium ones. You can see my favorites right here. So I have my end card, the subscribe button, different title cards or intros. And you can always search if you don't see something you want right off the top. They do have premium ones, like I said. I've never actually paid for one, but they're not that expensive. But usually I can find a pretty good selection amongst the free ones. Another thing I like to do is they call it J's and L's. I don't know if that's the technical term, but to overlay my B-roll and have it smoothly overlay, I just place it on the track above and it just makes it more interesting versus just having one straight shot. So once that's done, I'll export the video. I export the whole sequence, and then in the meantime, I will begin making my thumbnail. Typically while I'm shooting, I'll take pictures because in the back of my mind, I'm like, this would make a good thumbnail, or I'll take screenshots. I edit all of my photos in Adobe Lightroom, and because I generally know how I like my color correcting to be, I like bright and saturated color. I've made a lot of presets, and I just choose the one depending on whatever the picture is. I have thought about selling my presets though, so if that's something you're into, leave it in the comments below and I'll consider it. I use Photoshop to make the actual thumbnail. As you can see, I have a pre-made template blank that's called YouTube thumbnail, which is the correct size. So I just pop the picture in and add my text. While I'm uploading the video to YouTube, I will fill out the description box with any relevant links, like list for my supplies, Instagram handle. Now I have a website. If you follow me on IG, you saw things like that. And make sure I fill out the end card and add the element, and then I usually schedule it to go live. Once I've created my main video, sometimes you'll see, again, if you follow me on Instagram, that I make a little trailer for it, and I do that in Adobe Rush. To make the trailer, I just start a new project, import the finished video, and then I cut it down to about 30 seconds of highlights that I think are the most interesting and attention grabbing. I typically use the same background music that I used for the video, and I like my music to be kind of upbeat and punchy. So I just drop that in, and then they have a graphics element as well, or like graphics cards like before. And so I just add my branding just in case it gets reposted anywhere so you can see who made this. And then I have an end card at the end that says like subscribe. And then I just save it, and you can export it directly to Instagram. I typically just save it to my computer and then upload it to Instagram manually via my phone. And that is how I film and edit for my YouTube channel.